totally missed that. Could you repeat that for because they couldn't attend live?
I said, I got
That's
my
because Meg
5%.
Johnson's over there poking me. Record, record. I get into this environment and I want to come right back to you, Lucy. But I think about time for you, and we don't record it, so I'm over here all relaxed. Um, so Lucy,
But
how does that feel? Because I know you had a little outside perspective. My story, little maybe anger, frustration around like the convention guideline changing, notification. And it feels like from an observer, you shifted to like, okay, I'm
Mhm.
going to make this happen or whatever. But
Mhm.
like, how do you see these pieces all coming together? Like, what would you attribute it to?
Because I was focused on the wrong thing, first of all. And it wasn't even so much that I was angry, I was frustrated because I was feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do this. And I talked about it a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the 4Ds and talking about the fact that I'd lost focus in the last year of just life happening of what the true reason of why I started coaching and really wanting to help my husband. And so I just started just remembering that, just focusing on that more so and letting that drive my actions and even letting that drive even the emotions that I have around things because my emotions were always fixated to a goal as opposed to um, the why of what I really wanted. And so, like I said, I haven't promoted Commit to Health much. I've just stayed consistent with reaching out to people, being present with my lives on Wednesday. Yesterday I wasn't feeling well, so I didn't actually do one yesterday. But follow-ups, making a post out there. It doesn't even have to be a helpful, just being present, so people to see me. Following up with even my inactives, continuing to build relationships with those that used to be clients and who may not, or even those who have expressed some kind of interest at some, just staying present, and I think that that has really supported why people have just um, come to me, honestly. And like I said, I haven't done a lot of promotion at all about it. And I tell them when they say they're ready, I'm like, oh, by the way, we have such and such um, and going on. So that's helped them. But it was the reason why they came to me in the first place because of the Commit to Help. And that makes me feel good because I feel like those individuals will be ones that are going to be more long-standing because they weren't driven by the incentive. It helped, but it wasn't their drivers.
Yeah. It goes back to, I don't know if were you guys able to see, I was going to show it on a team time and then I couldn't find it, but I shared it in the group, but it was Andy Stanley. And he said, when we get so focused on the how, you know what I mean? We become inflexible and whatnot, and just getting back to that real sense of purpose and serving and, loving other people, like, damn, that energy shift just started attracting. And you're right, attracting people for the right reasons, and not necessarily for a discount.
And I mean, I did have to keep saying to myself, no expectations, no expectations,
Right.
just do the thing. Don't,
Mhm.
and it's not easy sometimes, especially with my background. So having to continually tell myself that to stop so that I keep myself in the right frame of mind is what's helpful to me. And being okay with just the balance and the boundaries of not, because I don't spend 8 hours a day working my business. It's probably a couple, 2 to 3 hours a day. And when I'm done, I'm done. And I move on and I feel no guilt about it. So
That's good. Does that resonate with you, Diane? Because I know you've kind of been like doing the actions, but kind of in a dry spell, like dry season, not seeing the fruits of it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's yeah. I don't. I'm not seeing anything. I mean, I've got a health assessment next week. That's one plus. For I just had a call a little bit ago, but I don't know. I mean, I just keep trying, and don't. Um, I mean, there's been a lot going on in my life, well, I guess now, and so um, I just try to say what's important now and do it, but I I do like the fact of, in fact, I was reading my growth 2024 document that I wrote to myself. I mean, the whole thing about all the questions that we answered and everything. I was reading that this morning. And it's good to just kind of reiterate and see where I'm at and, what's happening. And, telling myself, hey, I'm just going through a period and whatever, I'll get through it,
Mhm. Yeah. I think that's the thing, as we're going through, and it's a new season. I feel like, we're kind of having to reinvent who we are and
Mhm.
whatever, right? Like we're
Mhm.
showing up differently. And that takes time. It takes time, for that to all fall into place, and just recognition that it's just a season. Because you're not alone. That's the other thing, is I think the hardest thing is to remember in this is you
Yeah.
feel like, oh, well, la-di-da, look at Lucy, got you 5. But
Yeah.
and I don't mean
Yeah,
that
no.
sarcastically, but I'm like, but you can be over here like, wow, like what's wrong with me? But it's not just you, because,
Mhm.
company's down, team is down, like, not to say woe is me, but just you're not alone, and we're just all figuring this out. And it all will start to go back, but
Yeah.
it's just, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna lose heart. I love this community and I love this group. And even if I don't get to go to convention, it's just 1 year. I mean, I'm not gonna, it'll be next year, and I'll make it. Whatever. So I'm not gonna
Yeah.
let it get me down.
Yeah.
But
And keep striving, because you just
yeah,
never
I'm
know,
not giving up.
right?
I'm
Like,
not giving up. I still got chance. I still got time.
yeah, like the cruise requirements, right? Like, I'm not saying I know nothing. I know
Mhm.
nothing. So I'm not implying anything, but they may open it up a little bit, right? And what if you
Mhm.
got it too? Like, you wouldn't want to surrender now, because what if
Yeah.
they changed it, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if we stay focused, like we talked about at the heart of the matter, it's the heart of the matter is finding the
Yeah.
people to help. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's helping others, and I love my clients, and I love helping supporting them.
Yeah.
That makes it the world so much better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Vicky? Tell us something good.
Well, I don't know if this would qualify. I think it would qualify as good, but it was
Your
interesting and
definition of good.
yeah, it was interesting and unexpected. So the other night, Bob's working on taxes, so um, he told me how much I made last year, and blah blah blah. We kind of went through that and we talked about that, and then he sat down and we just started talking, and he said, "Why are you still doing this?" He said, "It's not like." you know we're blessed in that we don't need the income, we're not dependent on it. Um he you know and he said, but you spend a lot of time, and I was like, okay, so just because I'm in my office doesn't mean I'm working. And currently right now it's a nice little escape, but he's not home, so I can say that. But it really made me stop and think. And he goes, look, he said, I know you love the friendships you've made. I know you love the people you work with. What if, rather than worrying about convention or whatever, you just scheduled a trip with your coach friends, the ones you really want to spend time with? And I was like, I'm all over that too. Um, kind of liking the sound of that one. I said, that's why I said several months ago, hey, I want to host a coach retreat, because I kind of see it as being that. And less expensive, obviously, if we're staying here. But it really kind of got me thinking about it. And interestingly enough, he said it right after I had my first phone call with several reactivated clients. And I said that to him. I said, yes, I absolutely, the friendships I've made are friendships I never anticipated making at this stage of my life, and certainly not through a job. But I said, I also, when somebody gets it, and like when Jen shared the client and how easy it was and what a great day it was for her and all of that, when you hear that, it does something that is heart lifting. You know, it does. It kind of, and I don't know. And I said that to him. I said, I don't know that I'm ready to give that up. And I said, even if it's only once in a while, because let's face it, we've all had dry spell, right? So we've not had a ton of that. And we've all had people talk about the weight loss drugs, and, you know, and hey, you know what? But it was a really interesting conversation, because the truth is, because he is so immobile right now, if I'm here in my little office, he feels a little neglected and left out. And so, he was able to share that. I was able to respond to that. And I was able to tell him what it was I loved about it. So I said, it's not, I mean, is the money fun? Yeah, the money's fun because I get to go do something without anybody questioning me, but it's not the motivation. You know, I mean, I had to stop and say, and I don't mean if I didn't get paid, I wouldn't do it. I don't, but that's not a primary motivator for me. And yet I know it is for other people. I totally get that. So I had to really dig deep about what was my, you know, what was it? Why was I still doing it?
Well, it reminds me of, remember Stephanie Nelson that spoke? She was the one that wrote the book Imagine More. And, you know, after she made her, you know, she's multimillionaire, and, you know, but she was like stir crazy and whatever. And when she was coaching with Bob Goff, and she was like, I got to get a job, I got to do something. And he was like, you don't need a job, you need purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You need purpose. And I believe every human, you know, if you look in the, I think we're all people of faith here, but if you look in the Bible, I mean, like retirement is a government. I mean, you know, like a government term. It's not in the Bible. It's not, you know what I mean? Like God wants us to, you know, I feel like if you look at people who age well, those that are involved, it might be the garden club. It might be, you know, it doesn't have to be something that's actually transactionally bringing in income. But I think what you described was purpose and impact.
Mm-hmm.
Even from a friendship perspective, because you know that you've helped other people and they've lifted you, as well as people that you're helping with the program. Cool.
True that.
I got it kind of reminds me of a conversation I had with a client this week who came back and she restarted, and we were talking, and she's one that she came to an event recently, but she's done program a lot of times.
Terry.
Shelby.
Oh.
She's done program a lot of times and kind of just drifts away and stops answering, and like, you know, like just puts the space. And I just said, can we make a promise to each other that like you'll leave the door open? Because as long as the door is open, I don't, you know, like I think that's a really important thing, whether you're on plan or not. Like, let's just let the light in. And anyway, she had made this comment. She was like, I know, I was so ashamed when I needed to come back to you. And I even wondered, like, will Meg even take me? And what if, she said, like, what if she's a millionaire? I'm like, what is that? And I said, listen, right? I'm like, it's not about the money, right? I said, let's say I got the lottery, I would still be here for you. I'm not going anywhere. And, but I never really thought about that before, but it was a really good thing, similarly to you, Vicki, of being like, okay, why do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
And that is true. Like, I will be here for her when as long as it takes.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a really good reminder that, you know, like, why are we doing this? And what it means to somebody when you tell them, hey, I'm not going anywhere. And it can take as long as it takes. And you can fail as much as you want to fail. I think that's a gift that we give to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Meg, the way you phrase that, you know, leaving the door open, can we promise each other to leave the door open? It's not just on her side.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm sure we've all had clients that that weren't the easiest to work with, which is a nice way of saying what I'm really thinking. So, but that, right? And so if they come back, can we still open the door to them? So I love that. I love that it's a two-way door. That doorknob is on both sides.
Yeah. And sometimes that means reaching out to them. Like I've been failing recently. I feel like with my client support, just not being as vocal as I need to be because of stories or whatever. So that's what that really convicted me on. So thank you, Vicki.
I love that. Thanks for saying that.
Well, Meg, I think there's no coincidence. And we were looking through like what we had done last year. We did something called ED Explosion, which was this time of year as we were trying to help people qualify for an event. And the theme was connection. We had talked about a connection and how weird that this organically, not weird, there's never a coincidence, came up, right? That I think that our role, as Lucy described, as you described, Vicki, as Meg, your example is, what can we do to better connect with people? Maybe that's what we talk about for a takeaway. What could we do to better connect with others, and let people hear our voice and our heart and what we truly desire?
So that's the question that you want us to answer right now, Dee.
Oh, okay. I was just about to ask, was that the question?
Kind of rhetorical, but yeah.
I think for me, honestly, is I've been trying to pray more about my current clients as well as my past clients or any future clients, and really letting God kind of lead my heart. And then when that happens, whomever pops into my head, in some way, reaching out to them, and letting them know that they were on my heart, and that's it. I hope they're well. Because I think even that small bit allows them to see that you care and that you're not wanting something from them.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mine is going to be to make a list of all the people that I've ordered and just come up, like just pick up the phone and call them all. At least leave them a nice message or try to get a hold of them with the intention that I want to serve them. Not that I hope I get their voicemail so that I can get it done. Felt like I needed to tell myself that real quick.
Not to relieve yourself of the guilt.
Right.
Yeah.
Confession.
Mm-hmm.
It's Holy Week. Good week for confession.
Yeah, I will agree with that, Meg. I think I just wrote it down as that's the same thing I will work on. I actually was in the shower this morning and I was like, some client came back and I remember saying like, I'll touch base with you next week. And I can't remember who it is, and I think how bad is that? That I said I was going to do something, but I don't have a good system in place. And so I was trying to wing it, and that's not caring and connecting. And
Yeah, and that's one of those, when you say that, because I am also guilty of that, or guilty of, like you said, Meg, hoping I get the machine, or I think I'll just send a voice text, which is one-way conversation, which is really easy, because I'm talking. But I think that system, Dee, that you're referring to can be so simple. It's just a matter of doing it. And how, I've let that go too, where, I just haven't done it. And then, like you say, that I'm like, who was it that I was talking to? So I love that.
yeah. Back in my coaching Meg Johnson days, I just had my binder and every Wednesday I got it out and I just called people. Like there was no specific time. I was just, but I had a routine and, and I think when I think the Calendly thing kind of messed us up, when we started trying to rely on them to call us back. And, then I think people got lost in that, or I'll speak for myself.
I think for me, mine is kind of similar to Lucy's, like just reaching out to people just because, and because I want people to know that, like you guys were saying, that I'm there for them and I'm supportive of them wherever they are in their journey. And I feel like sometimes when I make a connection with someone and they start as a client, then our interactions are only like, you know, how's your weight loss going? Or how's your journey going? Or how's this? And it's even like sometimes when I'll text people just to say hi, they automatically respond with that answer, even though I haven't asked that question. So I just want them to know, like, hey, we're still friends. And I do sometimes find that it's awkward. Like even I'm walking the dog, but even my neighbor, you know, she started the program, she did well. But I don't know. I feel like there's some like a negative feeling sometimes towards your coach in a way, or maybe that like maybe she thinks I'm watching her or judging her or something like that. So I just want to let people know, like, I'm just here for you. I just want to be your friend. However you want that to pan out is fine. But I don't know. I love people, so I just want them to know I'm here for them and support them in whatever way.
And I think we have to be careful in that too, that we don't own their reaction, that all we can do is lead with love. All we can do is know we're coming from a good place and believe the best in them, that our energy, our intentions, our hearts are going to shine through.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. Did you have something to add, Vicki?
Yeah, Jen got me thinking with that, because I have a couple of clients that we were acquaintances, not good friends, but acquaintances. And it has taken intentional effort to like be able to say, when it is our weekly call, to be able to say, hey, we're going to be on and off this call in 10 quick minutes, because this is really just all about how your health is and what's going on. That's all I want to hear about. But let's meet tomorrow and walk the dogs. Mm-hmm. Or let's, hey, can we get together for lunch later? Or can we, whatever it is. And really trying to separate the two, because it's hard for me to do that. I tend to get into chit chat with people versus really zeroing in on, hey, that's what this time is for. Let's connect later. And then I have to, back to your system, Dee, but I have to have a system then where I know, and it can't be on a Post-it note, but a system where I know I'm going to call that person back or send them just a text of, hey, can we get together and go for a walk this week? Whatever it is.
Yeah. So
yeah, that was really, when she was saying that, I was like, it's finding out how to draw that line.
Well, and I think with friends, it's always important to let people know, like I always do with my friends, like, listen, like even if I'm doing a health assessment, like whatever you decide to do, program not, just always know our friendship's going to come first, like that will never be compromised. And, this goes back to the days of Lori Anderson, Dr. A's wife. She used to say, because she coached a lot of family at the beginning. And so she would say, hey, I've got my coach hat on right now and I'm doing my coach call. So I only have 10 minutes. So let's stay focused. And so just making it clear. That's what that is.
I like that.
But the one thing I think as we're wrapping up, I think the focus this week is to, the connection, like we talked about, the connection with individuals, letting them, the heart of the matter. I was telling Meg a minute ago, we were talking about lives and things like that, but I was telling her I happened to have lunch with a social media expert this week as part of my BNI, just a one-to-one. We were just getting to know each other better, but she was just talking about the power of the voice, like even just short things, like clips, whatever. She goes, but people want to see people right now, and they want to hear your voice, even if it's as silly as, here's what people always ask me, what do you eat for lunch? Here's what I eat for lunch. It's, chicken, high protein, low carb, delicious. Done. But even those simple things that they see the humanity of who we are, or, hey, I just wanted to share. I know people are busy, never know what to eat, whatever it might be. But if you haven't been out there with your vocal voice, I would encourage that as well. All right. Well, I will stop the recording on this. Well, you're welcome to stay on for time for you, but we'll gather again next week. We're at the 4-week mark next week. So we'll decide at that point, how we'll progress with this. So, all right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.